Hello everyone, this is Drist, playing Shroud the Avatar, spiritual successor to Ultima Online. Before I get started, don't forget to subscribe. There is a link in the bottom of the screen, so feel free to click that. And if you like what you're seeing, smash that thumbs up key. I appreciate all those I can get. And don't forget that comment section. I appreciate all the comments I can get. Feedback, both positive and negative. I appreciate it all. So go ahead and comment there. So today's video, I'm going to build a couple combat decks for magic users that have some pretty decent defensive stats. And so a lot of time lately I've been hearing a lot of magic users, defensive sucks, they're calling them glass cannons, and magic users can't stay alive, and yada yada yada. And all I heard was challenge, and so my response to that is challenge accepted. So I took it upon myself to make a couple builds, a couple decks for magic users, using the air tree and using the fire tree, that have some pretty decent defensive stats. And our defensive stat of focus is going to be damage avoidance. So the reason a lot of people like to run around thinking magic users don't have a lot of defensive stats and can't stay alive has to do with the armor that they're using. A lot of them use the cloth armor or the epic cloth armor or the various cloth armor variations. And cloth armor is great for magic users because there's this little thing called magic fizzle. And for all you wizards and sorcerers out there, you know that magic fizzle is the chance of your spell failing. And if you have a 0% magic fizzle, your spell will not fail. It will fire off every time. And then when you start getting a 5%, 10%, 15%, 20% chance to fizzle, that's how often that spell will fail you. So obviously you want that fizzle rate to be as low as possible. The downside to having all this cloth armor and epic cloth armor stuff is that they don't have a lot of good base defensive stats. So you balanced, I want no fizzle, but I have to give up some defensive capabilities. Sure, I can offset it with some magic spells that are defensive in nature, like the Death Tree has a really good one. But there's another approach that we can take, and that's what we're going to do today. So how can I have better defensive stats, you ask? Well, I'm going to tell you. So the step up from epic cloth armor is actually leather chainmail, or leather mail, I'm sorry, leather chest armor piece I have right here. And as you can see, it has a little bit better base defensive stats, but it has that magic fizzle penalty. But it's a small magic fizzle penalty, and there is a way to offset this magic fizzle penalty, and it has to do with what you're wielding, whether it's a staff or a wand. And so my staff here has a 30% positive penalty offset the negative, and that's great. And also in my offhand here, even though it's the staff is a two-handed weapon and I can't wield anything that's offhand, apparently I'm also getting a 10% positive to offset that negative penalty. So between the two, that's actually a 40% positive stat bonus to offset my negative penalty I'm being given by wearing chain armor here. And then another way to do that, another way to offset that penalty is actually a skill under the focus tree here, and it's called follow through. And at my current skill level, obviously your results will vary depending on your skill level. Mine's at 82. I'm actually getting a 10.3 positive stat bonus to offset that negative penalty. So between that 40% on my staff and my offhand plus this one, I'm looking at 50.3% of a positive bonus to offset that negative stat bonus. So that's not bad. That's not bad at all. So a step up from leather armor is actually chainmail, which I'm actually wearing my chainmail here. And look at that chest piece there. So we went from what, 8% over here for the leather to a 15% there. So it's much higher, a little bit higher, but still workable. It's still workable there. And of course our base defensive stats for chainmail are better than this leather here. And of course the step up from leather is plate mail, and look at that magic fizzle, 28%. So that's brutal right there. So I'm going to tell you, for all you magic users out there, plate mail, I would avoid plate mail. There's a lot of healing spells that you can actually paladin, can be a paladin and be a healer in plate mail, and you can fire some of those off reliably, but most of the attack spells and stuff ain't going to happen in plate mail, at least not reliably. So our best option is actually chainmail, what I'm wearing here. And we look at this, and our damage, our defensive stat of focus is going to be damage avoidance. So with the chainmail here, we're getting damage avoidance for 1% there, plus 3% there, and 2% there, and 1% there, and 1% there. So that gives us a total of starting off at 10% damage avoidance. And that actually can be improved if you're going to masterwork this stuff here. I just bought this armor set off the vendor for, this is nothing I crafted, this is nothing special, but if you masterwork something like this, you can actually get this base much higher. My bone armor here, when I wear it and it's masterworked and everything, I give my damage avoidance up to 21% before I start applying skills to it, and that's the next step. And actually what's better than this chainmail here is actually bone armor here, and I'm going to tell you why bone armor is the better option if you want to put the cash down, because it's going to be kind of spinny to get bone armor. It's not cheap. Let's look at this chest piece here. So our fizzle rate for this chest piece is 12%, but we get a 5% damage avoidance base. And we look at this chainmail here, our damage of fizzle rate is 15%, so already our bone armor is much better. And we look at our damage avoidance, so only 3% here, so that's better. So with bone armor, you actually get lower fizzle and higher damage avoidance, which damage avoidance is our defensive stat of choice. So that's just, if for you people want to spend money on it, I definitely recommend it. But if you don't want to, you can make something work with this. Now, you have a choice now, depending on our builds. You have a choice to either stick with this chainmail here, or switch it out for a leather chest piece. And I'm going to tell you why you might want to switch out to a leather chest piece. And that has to do with our decks. And I'm going to show you my decks right now. So let's pull those up. I have two. I have the fire deck and I have an air deck. So let's switch those over here. Oh, didn't quite do that. Let's try this right here. There we go. And this one is our air tree. And so as you can see at the top, light armor is where we get some of our defensive capabilities. And then we have our life tree. And I'm going to leave this up here and let you look it over. And I'm going to go in more in depth back on the other screen, but just have you look this over. And if you look right here, these are some artifacts that actually will complement this. The one that works best is a Thunder Branch. Thunder Branch gives you a 10 intelligence, and then our air attunement plus 25. Obviously, air is our primary attack skills right here, so that's actually very beneficial. And then, of course, we can decrease that magic fizzle by 25%. So definitely want to use the Thunder Branch if you can get your hands on it. It's a good artifact. This Frozen Tears of Titan will also work, primarily because of that. Although I would definitely go with this one myself. So that's the air. And then we have the fire tree here, and it's pretty much identical except for what we're attacking with, and that's fire here. So look at those fires right there. And of course right here we have our artifacts of choice. This Heart of Raw will actually be pretty good for this because of that stat right there. This won't help us at all, but these two stats will actually help us out. But obviously this artifact would be better because of that one, and that one. All three we benefit from those stats with that particular artifact. So there we go. I'll let you look that over a little bit. And these are all my skill levels for these. So obviously your results will vary depending on what your skill levels are. But there we go. So let's switch back to the other. And let's look at these two trees in action. So I did say that there was a reason why you might want to go with a leather chest piece, and it has to do with our defensive skills that we're actually using. So this we're already using the air one, so let's go ahead and modify that and look at it. I like to build all my decks pretty much the same. I like to have my attack skills over on this side, and these are all unlocked so I can stack them and everything. So we have Chain of Lightning, and Ice Arrow. And then I have this Ice Field, which actually slows the enemy down, and that's unlocked. All these four are unlocked right here. And then we go to our defensive capabilities here. Evasion is actually the reason why you might want to wear a leather chest piece instead of this chainmail one. It actually will increase your damage avoidance for a period of time. But the thing with the evasion, it's a light armor skill, Would so be able to use it, you need to be wearing a light armor chest piece, which for us means leather. If you're wearing a chainmail or plate mail, you can't use that skill. And the reason you might want to switch with a leather piece is because this right here is a 3%, and if you masterworked it, let's be generous, let's say you can add another 3% to that. Maybe you're looking at a 6% bonus for that chainmail piece versus my skill level here at 80, and I'm getting 8% damage avoidance. And that's if I stack that, if I do 4 or 5 stacks of that and I fire it off, then that 8% becomes even more. So that's why I personally would recommend switching that chainmail out for a leather chest piece and rolling like that. Now, if your skills are lower leveled, your results will vary, and there might be a reason to go with that chainmail to benefit it and hold off on that until you get the skills higher. But that's kind of up to you. So there's that one. And then, of course, we have fortified defenses, which also gives us damage avoidance, and our shield device, more damage avoidance. And, of course, our healing things here. And then we have blind. Blind is a great defensive skill. And what it does is it decreases the target's damage avoidance, so you actually do some damage to what you're attacking, and it decreases their dexterity. And what that means to you is it decreases the target's chance to dodge, chance to hit, and chance to land a critical hit with a physical attack on you. So I use this blind all the time with great effect. So that's the ice one. So we're done with that, and I'm going to look at the fire one here real quick. It's identical to the other one. Like I said, I build all my decks pretty much the same, except for what I'm attacking with. Our attacking with is fire. So we have fire arrow, fireball, ring of fire, and that one. So there we go. And let's look at this in action. See how if we get anything to fizzle on us, or if everything fires off reliably, shall we? So we already have our practice dummy targeted, so let's go into combat there. And first thing, build up our defenses. So that was 5 stacks, jumps to 17. Fortified defenses, 5 stacks, jumps to 32. Shield device, 5 stacks, jumps to 48. So there we go. Now let's start attacking. And I could have hit those heals, but yeah, you can do heals on your own. So that's that shield device. And then as you can see, now if you move, you increase the chance of your spells fizzling. But as you can see, we're not, well, that one fizzled on us there, but that's because we're moving. And you can be stationary too. You can be a turret. Actually, there we go. You can turret it as a mage too, and only move when you actually come under heavy aggro. And you watch this, you want to keep your eye on that, and make sure that once those fall off, you want to reapply them. So I'm actually going to stay stationary for the time being. Oh. And there we go, they fell off, so we're going to apply it again. And you can actually move while you're applying these. So let's say you are coming on heavy aggro, you can actually move while you're getting these built up. There we go. And then we can start firing again. And I'm stacking. And so, and if you you need some healing, hit that healing grace and hit the other one. Oh, we forgot our blind. We need to apply our blind. So there we go. This is the air tree, and then along with that ice arrow there. So my skills aren't high with these trees, so I'm not hitting that hard, but you get the picture. So we've reliably using those trees, and we're keeping our damage avoidance high, and then we can heal ourselves. So that's that one. The other one is the fire. So where's the fire? There's the fire. Equip. Now I have my armor to pull the bone back out, so I'm gonna have to switch out with the other one. Bone armor is definitely the preferred route to go if you can afford it. It's not cheap though. Put those boots on, the leggings, the helm. There we go. Put our staff back in there, and now we're ready to rock. Let's go into combat here, and of course build up our defenses here. We're still riding that shield of ice from the previous one. That's why we're starting off at 32%. So there we go. So there we ring of fire, and then we stack all those fire arrows and fire those off, and then get that fireball. A little slow to fire because my skills are low, but there's that. And of course we get the fire off this. Stack those. As you can see, nothing's fizzled yet. Now if I start moving, they will fizzle, but I'm not really good at the fire tree as far as firing these off on the move, especially some of these ones that have casting time. But you're probably better at that than I am, but you get the picture. So far nothing's really fizzled on us here. And that fell off, so we're going to reapply these. And that shield of ice actually stays up longer than everything else, so you can watch it. And that time we have to reapply the oh, not healing grace. Well, healing grace would have worked. Reapply the shield of ice there, and like I said, you're gonna reapply those while you're moving, so you don't have to stay stationary while you're trying to get your defenses back and up and running again. But there you go. As you can see, you can be an effective magic user and still have something to keep you alive out there. So hopefully that was informative and you learned something, and maybe now you can rework your deck a little bit, get yourself some chainmail armor out there, and you can actually get some pretty cool chainmail patterns from the add-on store or from Market Dragon game codes, which is the links in the description. And then you can attach those patterns to the regular chainmail stuff and make yourself some pretty cool looking stuff. So, and you can have some defensive while you're out there. So this was Dritz playing Shroud of the Avatar, Spiritual Successor Ultima Online. Before I go, don't forget to subscribe. There is a link in the bottom of the screen, so click that link. And thumbs up. I appreciate all the thumbs up I can get. And don't forget that comment section. I appreciate all the feedback I can get from that comment section. So until next time, have a great day.